Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Paranormal, the New Normal. I'm your host, Jeremy, as always, here trying to make the world seem a little more normal. Mission never accomplished. We're like the villains in every comic book you ever read. We never succeed. But we're still here, and we're pushing through trying to make it happen. But as always, I bring a guest to join me in this quest, and that guest tonight is Corissa Grant, a comic book writer. And for anybody who knows me from the 200 plus episodes of this show, you know I love my comic books. So this to me is a treasure and a treat. And folks, Carissa is a writer for Worthy Chaos Comics, which I love that freaking name more than anything in the world. Worthy Chaos happens, folks, but better be worthy. That's the way I see it.
That's
but,
right.
How you doing tonight, Carissa?
Good. I'm great. How are you?
Hectic life as always, but I get to podcast, and that makes everything better. So,
of course.
Usually, but well, gonna start this show the same way I start every show. What got you into the paranormal?
I've always been into paranormal. I actually saw a shadow ghost when I was a teenager. Fortunately, not in my house.
Thankfully.
Yeah, but I was house sitting, and it was only one night, fortunately. And I was laying in bed, and usually I shut off everything before I go to bed, but I didn't really know this house, and so the door was open and there was light like down, the hallway or something. And I was laying in bed, and all I saw was this really tall shadow creature. It would just look like a person. So I thought I could see the door, so I know no one walked in, but it was like someone walked in. So I remember watching the shadow walk across and then go under the bed. And then I jumped up to go look under the bed, and I was like, what the hell am I doing? So I just went back to lay down. I was just like, I must have been dreaming, and I hadn't seen anything, and we're just going to go with that. And then like 10 years, 15 years down the line, I was watching a show with this girl. I was like, oh, I watched this shadow go across the room and go under the bed. I was like, I saw that too. So yeah, that was probably the craziest thing I ever saw. But I've always been into like supernatural, and I always loved everything paranormal. So yeah, and then one of my favorite games is Resident Evil. So I love zombies and all that stuff, Silent Hill, and all the creepy things, fun things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you saw a shadow being. Oof.
Yeah.
Or shadow person,
whatever that was.
But they are creepy. They're creepy. We yet to really understand where they come from. I mean, it's highly believed they're ultra terrestrial, that they come from another dimension, and that they just kind of pop in and out when they want to. For some reason, that portal may be underneath people's beds a lot of times. We can't explain that part.
I'm just glad I didn't look under the bed. I've actually always had a fear before that, even when I was younger, that I was scared to put my hands above my head, because I always thought, that something would grab my hands. So I never put my hand, like when I'm laying down in bed. So I never put my hands on the pillow or anything. I don't have that anymore. I have a solid back now. There's no more. They used to have like the railings or whatever when I was a kid. So I always feared that. So when I jumped up to look under the bed, I was like, well, that's dumb. So I just laid back down, and I think I just stared at the ceiling for like the rest of the night. And then I was like, well, I'm out of here.
Well, from experiences I've heard, shadow beings are not one to technically. They usually don't attack people or grab people. That's usually not their MO. They usually are just. That's why it's believed they're from another dimension, because we think that it's just possibly a crossing over or a weak point, because it seems like they're not really there. I mean, there are some instances where people feel like they're being watched by them. So
yeah,
who knows? I mean, it's also a theory that they feed off people's negative energy, and that's what they do. That's how they survive. But
I was not terrified. I will say that. Like, it wasn't like a huge, like I wasn't like I felt presences before, like when I was in certain places where like you feel like you're being watched. So I felt like something was there, and I do remember being nervous about it, but it wasn't like a the paralysis or anything like that. At least that's what I remember, or I blocked it out. But I do remember thinking, "What the hell is that?" And then stopping myself and looking under the bed because I was like, I don't really want to know what's in there. I'm just gonna lay in bed, and then I tried to convince myself that I had been sleeping the whole time, but obviously I hadn't been because I hadn't fallen asleep yet. But I just convinced myself I must have fallen asleep. That was it. I must have fallen asleep. But yeah.
Well, thank you, Harley, for watching as always. I can't show Instagram comments on here because Instagram. But which did you ever actually bring it up to the people who own the house? Out of curiosity?
No. No.
See, that would have been the first thing I did. Has been like, hey, so you might think this is weird, but I saw this thing. I'm kind of wondering if you guys have seen this too.
Actually, I think they fired me. I actually think I was supposed to be there one more night. If I remember correctly, I think I was supposed to be there one more night. And I got fired because they came home early and apparently all the dirt had been taken out of the potted plants. And they told me it was my fault. It's like, no. I said the cats must have done it, but they're like, oh, the cats did it. Well, what do you think I do? Go around and pull dirt out of potted plants? That's how I get for work. So
see, if you didn't say the cats part, I was gonna be like, wait a minute, are we talking about poltergeist type in here? Almost like that's creepy. But no, okay, cats will do that. Cats will do that. So
I think it was the cats. But I don't know why I'd get fired. I didn't want to go back anyway, so I was perfectly fine with it. They probably just were trying not to pay me, but
probably. I mean,
yeah,
people are cheap, but
that's why I get paid beforehand, so you can't do that to me.
Exactly. So, what? Well, okay. I guess the next question I'd want to ask on this one is, what? So, eventually, you started writing comics. How did that start?
So, funny story. I actually did not plan to write for comics. I did love comics in the 90s. I fell in love with Ghost Rider. That was my biggest thing. I read the Ghost by Danny and Johnny, and I love Spirits of Vengeance, and I loved Ghost Rider. The only reason why I stopped Ghost Rider because the first Midnight Suns was fine, but the second Midnight Suns crossed over like 30 comics, and I was like a broke teen. And instead of skipping that one storyline, I'm not really that big of a completist, but I was probably mad, and I still have them though. They're in the back. Anyway, so I knew about comics and I had loved comics, but it wasn't something I had thought about or anything like that. So I played Resident Evil 2. Actually, I think an alligator is like my spirit animal because I used to dream about an alligator like every night. Every night I dreamed about an alligator. From the age of 5 until I moved out when I was 21, I would dream about an alligator in a swamp. This isn't really related, but it kind of is. So the older I got, the larger the swamp got. So like by the time I was 20, the swamp was the entire world and just the houses were connected by these bridges and there was these alligators. So when I saw, I don't know what caused any of that. When I looked it up back then, it had said that when you see an alligator, there was 2 things that could be about the dream. 1, there's an underlining talent, and 2, you want independence from your parents. And supposedly it fit both. But I don't know if I wanted to be, independent from my parents when I was 5. But I'm an old soul, so it could be. But anyway, so I was watching TV, and all I remember of the Resident Evil 2 commercial was the alligator coming out of the sewer to get Leon. And for whatever reason, that got me obsessed with it. I literally went out, bought PlayStation 1, rented the game to play Resident Evil 2. Now, I had only played Atari. Yes, I'm that old. So I used to play Atari, Coleco, but I never played Nintendo except for like Duck Hunt. But my brother, he played Zelda since whenever. So I was trying to play Leon. I don't know if you ever played Resident Evil 2, but I could not get the character to move where I wanted it to, and there was no instruction manual. So I threw the controller all pissed off. My brother comes in and starts playing it, which makes me mad. So I kick him out and I start playing it. So I got so obsessed with the game that I actually started role playing as Claire Redfield online, and I actually role played her for 15 years, and during that time, it made me interested in the story idea that I had, and I held on to the story idea for like 11 years, and then I met my co-writer, and we just started writing it as a role play. So like I RP'd as Serafina, and my co-writer did Draven, and we got so obsessed with it that after series 1 was done, which again was not on purpose, it was 44 issues, and I was like, I should probably do something with this. So I said the horrible, infamous words, how hard can it be to make a comic when it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life? And so I started making comic books. So I started about a year and 3 months ago. And now I'm up to, well, issue 10 is live now on Kickstarter for anyone that watches it until the 19th. And you can search Worthy Chaos on Kickstarter, and I'm the only thing that pops up. And it's Supernatural. It's Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Supernatural and Silent Hill in the world of Resident Evil. And it follows Angel Descendant Serafina and Demon Descendant Draven as they maneuver through this world, fighting against their, angel and demon father. But the unique thing about the characters is because we wrote it as role players, the two main characters are written by two completely different characters. So I wrote the story, I start the story, and then I write everything Serafina, and then my co-writer writes everything Draven, and then we kind of write the other characters together. So when you're reading them, they have these two unique personalities. Like Serafina talks nonstop and barely thinks, and Draven barely talks and thinks all the time. So we have the two unique personalities. It's a little bit different than most comic books. Even when you read something about with a co-writer, they don't usually only write for that one character. So it's kind of a unique thing we do. So right now we have 108 issues or so written, and we're still writing. So we're also very far ahead because issue 10 is 1 through 10, you can get all of them on there. 1 through 10 is live now, but we're actually in the middle of drawing issue 16. So we're actually several issues ahead. So everyone knows they're going to get their comic, and and you'll get your series done, because I'm dying to see these. These are for me. I want to see them done.
Do you guys do the drawings yourself, or do you hire like a third party artist?
I wish I'd be so much richer. No, unfortunately, I hired an artist, Jonas DaCosta, who's absolutely amazing. He had never worked in comics before. We found each other, and so it worked out. We kind of learned as we went. And he's done all 15 so far. Hopefully he'll stick around. I already told him if he doesn't, I'm going to lock him in the basement. But so far so good. He really likes the story. He gets really into the characters. For anyone that loves like Egyptian stuff, we have Anubis in our story. I have the plushies Anubis, and the new one is Bastille. So but we have different cultures in there. Right now it's Anubis, and obviously angels and demons, and there's our version of vampires, which is the Clotters. We have hellhounds, and we have ghosts and giant salamanders, which is our homage to lickers in Resident Evil, if anyone ever knows those.
Nice.
Yeah. Then we have lots of zombies, and anything else we could throw in there pretty much is in there.
Interesting. I mean, I the fact that you said it's supernatural mixed with Buffy just made my heart flutter a little, because I never got into Buffy too hard. I still say to this day I want to go back and watch it, actually, but it's just one of those things that I'll probably be retired by the time I actually have time to watch it. But Supernatural I've seen all of, so that's and the angel and the demon side kind of made me be like, okay, I can see this.
So I didn't call it Buffy, but other people call her Buffy because she's blonde, but she's really technically after Claire Redfield, but I go with the Buffy thing. It's mostly supernatural. It's a supernatural world. There's they have a guardian angel named Camiel, which is kind of like Castiel, only way dumber. but there's a whole lore to it. So something happened in their last life. Seraphina and Draven are soulmates. They were part of a prophecy that said if an angel and a demon ever found love, that they were required to stay together. Otherwise, if they were separated, war would start. Her father faked the prophecy so that it said they had to be separated or war would break out. So he kind of messed with their guardian angel and tricked him into betraying them. So in this life, things are a little bit different. And both sides are after this angelic weapon that Seraphina was created from. And if they can get this, they could tip the scales of war, either in heaven or hell's favor. The father wants it for another reason, but he's not saying what it is. The only problem is to activate the weapon, you need Seraphina's soul, and then she can no longer be reincarnated or have an afterlife with Draven. So obviously they're highly against this. So it's a supernatural adventure, survival story. And it starts off in a town like Silent Hill, where the town is merging with hell and everything's coming up, the ghosts and zombies, Anubis, and all this stuff, hellhounds, and they're trying to survive, as they go through it. Right now in issues 8 through 12, they're trapped in a haunted asylum where they're trapped with we have plushies. That's our favorite merch. So this is our giant salamanders, which are in the story. And they're trapped in there with zombie mental patients, which we have our zombies in a straitjacket, which is a working straitjacket because my plushie queen who makes these for me, she's like, do you want it as a working straitjacket? I was like, of course I want it as a working straitjacket. Why wouldn't I? But you can get any number you want on the back. So most people get the birthdays as the patient number embroidered on the back.
That's cool.
But I always tell people, if there's somebody in your life that drives you crazy, you can put their number on the back. But yeah, so they're all trapped in this asylum. They're trying to get out. Well, Anubis and the angel and the demon are trying to get them out because, they want the weapon. And in 14 through 22, it's mostly Resident Evil 2, where they're trapped in this city that's got the, infested with zombies, and they're trying to get out. And the virus is something unique that was created. So yeah, there's a lot going on. So this series is 44 issues for series 1. If it's popular enough, I'll do series 2, which is already written. That's 30 issues. And we're in the middle of doing series 3 right now, which I think we're, 15 issues in, and then there's a prequel that's 5 issues. And eventually I want to do the whole lore, because it's in my head and I just haven't done it, where they met, how they joined up with Anubis and all that fun stuff. So it's a lot of writing.
So yeah, I'm sure. I mean, yeah. I've had see, that was always one of my dreams when I was young, when I was college age and up. It was like a dream to be a comic book writer. I really don't want to create my own characters per se, because it's just I think there's too much that goes into that, and I feel like I'd be copying off 5,000 different IPs and putting it into one thing. But I would love to get hired by Marvel or DC, or mainly Marvel, and work with their characters to some degree. But I mean, DC, I'd work with them, but I don't really. It wouldn't be what I pick if I took between two. Marvel, I would gladly work with. I've always been a Marvel fan more than anything, and that's the great thing is that. But I mean, yeah, I've always been a Marvel fan more than anything, and so I would love to work with some X-Men comics. I'm just saying, if any of the Marvel heads out there want to make that happen, would love to talk to you. I have some ideas, but
yeah, I've been asked to write for a lot of different comics, but I only do my own. I will say, for anyone that wants to catch up, the quickest way is with our hardcover. It's 222 pages, and it's issues 1 through 7, and it's only $39. And the artist is Ken Hunt, who did the front and the back. He worked on Batman, Superman, Harley Quinn, all that stuff for DC. It's colored by Lady Death Universe, CC Dela Cruz. She did both. Anubis on the back is one of the most popular covers I've ever done. Obviously, everything is in color. I guess I shouldn't say obviously. It's all glossy and all that fun stuff. And if anyone wants to see the video, there is a video on our Kickstarter that shows the current issue. Then it also shows 8 and 9. And then if you want to see the summary for 1 through 7, you can watch that too. So it's a long video, but you can obviously stop whenever you want. But yeah, I don't know if you have a couple of seconds, I can show you I can share my screen. You can see the cover if you want to see one of our popular covers.
Sure, I'd love to. I have such an appreciation for comic book art.
Awesome.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can share your screen on this. I honestly have never had a guest try, but
yeah, you have to press it down there.
Yep.
Okay. So this is my Kickstarter. We actually funded in 2 hours, and we triple funded in 3 days. 3 days.
So you have a following already then, apparently.
I have a somewhat small following, fortunately. So this is my artist's main cover. Jonas DaCosta did that. This is our second variant cover, which is Victor Medina, which has got the ghost kids in the background. Now, this is the most popular one, of course.
I can see why.
This is Ivan Tao. He's actually a Marvel artist. And he's actually worked on Amazing Spider-Man, Thundercats, Venom, Thor, Street Fighter, Teenage Ninja Turtle, all that fun stuff.
It's funny you could say Amazing. It's funny you said Amazing Spider-Man because when I saw that, I was just picturing Gwen Stacy. But
yeah, I could definitely see that. So this has been the most popular cover. And then we have these are some pages. Let's see if I can show you. So this is her fighting. These are our these are our chameleon vampire bats, which are bats that can merge with their background. We actually have awesome. His name is Chatty because why not? But we have this is our vampire bat. That's actually, I think someone bought it, but you can get a pre-order one if you want in the add-ons, and then you can pick whatever 2 colors you want. You can choose the eyes, you can do all that fun stuff. So this is some more art, and this is just another fight scene. She's fighting the experimental zombies, and this is Anubis and his hellhound that he plays fetch with. Not here, but later on, before actually. And then we have a lot of tiers, so just go through and take your time because there's like a ton of tiers. Our most popular one right now is obviously his cover, but everyone loves this in metal, and it does. I'm not gonna lie, it looks absolutely gorgeous in metal. This is the metal, you can see.
Ooh,
yeah. There's also a glow in the dark one, but I haven't ordered that one. Now these are all already made, printed, and I ship everything out within a week. Usually within 2 days, but I say a week to give myself some leeway.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a bunch of, we love merch. We're huge merch. Here's our Anubis plushie you can get and all that stuff. I don't know if there's our hellhound. I'll show you our zombie. There's our zombie.
Cute hellhound.
Yeah, and my mom doesn't like horror or comics, but she bought my zombie. She thought it was cute. So I don't know what that. I guess they're cute. I don't.
I would say it's a little more cute than scary, but that's what you want. That's what you want.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to be cute. This is our that's the chameleon vampire bat. And that's the puppy that I'm holding. He has his little headdress. I'm assuming you don't want to see the video, but
I mean, feel free to show it if it's like, as long as it's not like super long.
I'll show you the first half because that's like a minute, where the second part's like 3 minutes long. I will say that the songs that you hear, that's ours. It was written and performed for our characters. So you can get them as add-ons for $3 in the add-ons. As a download, you get an instrumental and you get the vocal versions, and the lyrics are down in the Kickstarter. But here, I'll play this is the current issue.
Wow, that artwork is amazing.
Isn't he good? It's better than 60.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, I like the Anubis design. I really do.
So, I won't show you though. If anyone wants to see, this is the whole summary, but there's a really cool part at the end that goes to show what I. Okay, hold on. You tell that I want in a animated series someday.
Seriously, I mean that'd be an awesome. That'd be an awesome anime series if you did that
Yeah.
as an anime series.
That's
And
my goal. Like everyone's like, oh, what movie do you want or whatever? Who do you want as actors? And I was like, honestly, now if I had my absolute like cream of the crop, I could pick whoever I want. I want the rule that the only people that can voice the animated series is if they had at least guest starred in Supernatural. That was what I originally wanted. So I wanted like Jensen Ackles for actually I wanted Christian Payne, believe it or not, for Draven, but Jensen is also an amazing choice, of course. And Alana Tao I wanted as Serafina. So who plays
which
Joe.
oh, okay. I was thinking Ruby for a second, but
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I don't want to. I would, if I had my choice, it'd be a rated R for violence animated series, so an adult animated series. I think it would be awesome. Yeah,
I'd watch it. I'd watch it in a second. That's, I mean, that just their designs is freaking amazing. I mean, Anubis' design looks so badass. I mean, and actually, I mean, you could definitely tell the artist worked for Marvel and DC because I mean, like that Anubis design looks completely similar to what they have in like all the Moon Knight and Ghost Rider comics when they have Anubis
it's
in it.
very. We've been told it's very 80s 90s type
Mm-hmm.
of feel to it, which is probably because we're from the 80s and 90s. So,
Oh, as it should. I'd rather see something that's more 80s and 90s design than freaking 2000s design. Like, screw that. Like, screw
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So, since you said earlier, I kind of got to ask because I don't get to talk about this topic much. Who's your favorite Ghost Rider, Johnny or Danny?
See, I fell in love with Danny first, but once Johnny came, it had to be Johnny. I mean, he's got such, I don't know, he's just too cool for words.
Hey, Johnny Blaze is the freaking man, and
Yeah.
oh, you must have started reading it when Johnny first disappeared from the comics for a while, and then eventually made his comeback like he always does now. But
Yeah.
I mean, now he's an old man. Now he's an old man in the comics, but
Well, that's not very fun. I love Spirits.
oh,
so
trust me, him old is amazing. He still kicks ass. Him old when he turns on the freaking spirit is freaking oof. Like,
I like his humor. I like his personality. I've always loved Johnny Blaze, and my brother started with Johnny Blaze. I started with Danny, and then Johnny Blaze came in, and then they made Spirits of Vengeance. So I think I started at like issue 7, Ghost Rider with Danny. So because I have the paperback, so I started like right after. But I have like the glow in the dark cover, and I have all the guest appearances. The what if, what if
oh.
what is it, Barbara?
Yeah.
Uh, and then they had I think they had Spider-Man, they had X-Men, Venom, they had everyone like crossover. So I
Oh God, yeah. Ghost Rider crossed over everybody because of the supernatural thing,
yeah,
and there's actually a new one now. I don't.
new Ghost.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't read it. I haven't seen it. So
I read it for a long time because it was the only Ghost Rider available when I read
oh,
it, and I mean, I like the idea of Ghost Rider on a motorcycle. Don't get me wrong. It's a Ghost Rider on a car. I mean, a Ghost Rider in a sports car is pretty badass. I mean, the fact of a car actually turning into that is super badass. But I don't know. Nothing beats Johnny on his motorcycle. It's still
no,
nothing.
yeah.
Or even the older guy, that's older than Johnny, the original Ghost Rider on his horse. Like that's still like to me is the
I
most badass thing
love
in the
the
world.
horse. I love the horse. I think that's the coolest thing. Is
But
the horse. But yeah, motorcycle.
yeah, because because I read comics from like 2006 till 2021, so it was a lot. I read a lot of Ghost Rider in that time, and a lot of mainly modern stuff. I mean, I read older stuff too, but
Yeah.
I they did one for a while called Ghost Riders, where it was like every Ghost Rider ever basically was in it from like alternate dimensions and everything too.
That's
They were
kind of
fighting
cool.
like they were fighting like a big bad. It was like an Avengers of just Ghost Riders. It was freaking awesome. But
Yeah.
and they kind of did it good on Agents of Shield when they did the one with the car, like the new one.
Yeah.
They did. I thought they did a decent job with it. I mean, I don't know if you actually had a chance to watch it, but
I have not. Oh, wait, you mean like on a show they have Ghost Rider? You're talking about the
on
comic?
Agents
Oh,
of
I haven't
Shield, the
seen
TV show,
No, I haven't seen that.
in
I
one
just
of the in the later seasons, Ghost Rider comes into it.
ah damn it. Now I have to watch it.
Oh, you should. It's a good show to begin with. But I mean, when they add the Ghost Rider, when they add the new Ghost Rider into it, which I like the new Ghost Rider only because he's a kid and because of his brother's in a wheelchair, so he's just a good person in general because he's always like watched out for his little brother in a wheelchair.
Right.
But it's kind of funny because in the comics at one point his brother turned into Ghost Rider too, and like because he was refusing to do it, so
Wheelchair?
like this the spirit turned his wheelchair into like the machine and he became a Ghost Rider. It was
Right.
kind of effed up and kind of funny at the same time. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. I love
but
yeah. I'll have to
it
see it.
worked. Oh, I mean, yeah, the Agents of Shield version was really good actually. I was
See,
just happy they finally brought Ghost.
that would have made a good animated series, Ghost Rider.
It would have. It really would, and I hope they might still do that someday. Who the hell knows? But it's supposed to be coming back. It's supposed to be coming in some iteration to Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't know if it's the one from Agents of Shield or a different version. They keep going back and forth on that, but I would love to see it live because Ghost Rider is freaking so incredible. I mean, in Agents of Shield, they didn't really do it justice. They need to, though. I will say on Agents of Shield, there is a Johnny moment for a second. They don't show him, but you could. They always show part of him, but you could tell it's him.
I gotta see it. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
So, so all right. Let me ask you this: since since this is a paranormal show, and if I talk comic books the whole time, my normal fan base is gonna be like, "What the hell, dude? You did a whole episode about comic books." I'm like, "Yeah, you know I love it, so shut up, guys." But what what is your theory on what if do you think angels and demons actually exist, and if they do, what do you think they actually like? Do you believe like the biblical version of it, or do you have your own version of it?
um after studying the biblical version, I'm gonna say there probably exist, but I hope they don't. Like, so with mine, all of mine are based on the real scripture, how they're written. So like they all have the jobs that they would have. Like her father is Remno, who is the which is what started the whole thing. He would judge the souls on earth and then bring them to heaven. And when Supernatural is talking about angelic weapons, I was thinking, well, what would Ramel do to carry the souls? Like, would he like put him in his pocket or whatever? So I created the angelic weapon, which is what she carries around. I don't know if I have it around here. I have a ton of them. But so this angelic weapon has the power of souls in it, which is why it's so powerful. So that's his job. He's got the power. He used to judge. He's actually, and it's so funny because our story, we always felt like it was meant to be written because things that we didn't know fit so perfectly. Like, for example, so Remnal is Seraphina's father in this. He fell in love with the Celtic. He fell from heaven, fell in love with the Celtic goddess, and gave up his powers of being an angel and created her, because angels can't have kids. So he created her through the powers of him and the goddess and the souls in the weapon, which is what she was created from. I had no idea until actually quite recently that he's also that it was before I wrote the comics, but after I wrote the series, he's actually the one that not only fell from grace from God's side in scripture, he created the first Nephilim, which is the first part half angel. And I didn't know that when I picked him to be the father. So it worked out so perfectly. And not only that is, so his weapon is a sword and his power is lightning. And Easma, which is Draven's father, who's a demon, I didn't know anything about it either, but he's a chaos demon that feeds on souls, but also he's immune to all forms of lightning. So like it all just fit like super, super perfect. Their guardian angel is Kemael, which is the angel of true love and conflict resolution, which of course you need both to be in love. So he was chosen as their guardian. The most annoying thing, and I did to myself, so I can't blame anybody, is he doesn't use contractions. So I have to always remember that he can only say cannot, it is, or do not. So annoying. I don't know why I torture myself with that, but now it's stuck. So yeah, but he's kind of like Castiel. He follows the rules and he follows what he's supposed to do, but he's slowly trying to figure out like, hey, maybe I was, screwed over. So we'll kind of see him slowly start to kind of choose sides and go back and forth. And when he tries to help, he usually screws things up more. But so yeah, so all of that is based on real scripture, which is terrifying because they're actually quite terrifying creatures.
Oh, I mean, according to scripture, they are. According to scripture, angels are terrifying.
Oh yeah, they're terrifying. We don't show their true form until way, way later, like probably series 4. They're a little bit different than supernatural. They do not possess others. They're their own, body or whatever. Now lesser demons do, and they do have black eyes. So whenever a lesser demon will take over, they have black eyes. The angel and the demons, the larger versions, have their own bodies. But yeah, we do have you can be possessed by things and all that fun stuff. We did a lot more research on the angels than Supernatural did. Supernatural would just pick a random angel and like, this is you now. So we did a little bit more research. But yeah, I love all the aspects of Supernatural. And I will tell you, since you love Supernatural, I'm gonna show you. Hold on. First of all, Jared Padalecki has my hardcover, by the way, just FYI.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, you could take it because he signed mine. I'm having everyone sign my hardcover. And he I said, if you want a copy, you can have one. He goes, I can really take this. And I was like, I would love you to take it. So this is I don't know if you can see it, our Supernatural homage cover. You see, there's baby.
Sure.
And this is the position that Sam and Dean are in a poster.
Yeah.
So the thing is, though, I haven't gotten, Jensen's going to sign it hopefully this December. But anyway, so Jared signed it first. Now the girl is in Jared's position in the poster, but he was so excited that who he thought he was, Draven, he was so excited. He goes, wow, I'm so buff. Look how buff I am. I can't wait to tell my wife how buff I am. And he signed it. And I didn't have the heart to tell him that was not him in the poster. So yeah. But when I have Jensen sign it, I will tell him, just so you know, you have to sign over Jared because he signed in your position. So I will show you.
Sure, that's funny because my wife is so a Jared girl. She loves Jared.
I'm a Jensen girl. So they do steal baby from a bar. So they do drive. And each story, each issue has an Easter egg from either a horror movie, comic, urban legend, video game, or show. So for this one, let's see if I have our Easter egg. When they open the trunk, I don't want to copy it exactly because I don't want to get sued. But so they have all the weapons in the back, and they're like, "Who the hell's
Nice.
Lucille?" But Lucille is in the back from
Yeah.
they had it both
Walking
on
Dead.
and The Walking Dead. So yes, we have both of those.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I obviously and then I think the license plate is Dean's birthday, and so is the hotel door, the number on the door is Dean's birthday. So yeah, so it's very supernatural. If you like supernatural, you'll definitely like it. It's very obviously chaotic. I've gotten in trouble by one podcaster who read it was like, it's too fast paced. And I was like, yeah, 1 and 2 are extremely fast paced. They get to this town and like everything, hell literally breaks loose. And then it kind of like evens out. It never slows down really. It's very action packed. But yeah, he's like, it's too fast paced for me. And I was like, well, the cover does say it is chaos, so you have to get over that. Now to talk more about the paranormal, I can tell you that so our Clotters is so she's a supernatural hunter in the story. He's an assassin and she's a supernatural hunter. And so she knows all the ins and outs of everything. And for issues 4, 5, and 6, we introduce our Clotters, which has made me fall in love with them. And now I want to do like a mini series of them. However, our vampires are a mutation of their vampires. So what happens is our Clotters, their heart beats once every 6 hours, which is just enough to strive off rigor mortis. So it makes their blood very, very clotted, very, very thick. And because of this, they're stronger, but they also need to have a blood source directly from a human. You can't have it from an animal. You can't have it from a blood bag. It has to be from a human. And the problem with that is that our vampires aren't like Buffy's. They have their souls. So if they don't feed directly from a human, they start to decompose like a zombie. And if you turn somebody that doesn't want to hurt a human, then they'll just decompose. So what they did was they started turning the most ruthless people so that they were sure that they would just attack humans, whatever. So this species of vampire is a lot more tougher. But the other problem is that if they taste your blood or bite you, then they can track you wherever you go. And if you kill that vampire, the entire nest can then track you wherever you go. Garlic doesn't work against them. The sun doesn't work against them. And they don't have to be invited in. So they are kind of the most ruthless that you can pretty much get. So I love them. But yeah.
I love that because you took away all their weaknesses, and that's amazing.
Yeah, that was my favorite part. Like, screw that. But yeah, well, the reason why we actually did that was originally vampires didn't have any weaknesses from the sun. That was something that the movies did. They were shadow creatures and they didn't like the sun. And some of them, if you want to say it's the disease from that, they could get sick from being in the sun. But also, and you can't stab their because their hearts beat. And all that stuff, you can't the staking doesn't work because originally the staking of the vampire was to just trap them into the coffin. So stabbing them wouldn't work. You have to cut off their heads, or you can burn them, but it takes like hours for them to burn. So pretty much chopping off their head is like the only way to kill them. So there's a lot of head chopping in there.
So a true nod to supernatural.
yeah, that was my favorite part. I was like, and I kind of took I think in the supernatural it was if they smell your scent they can track you, so I did the whole blood tasting thing that they can track you through that. And that way I still have like a little nod towards that. But yeah, they just I kind of did that, the heart beating thing, because a couple of things bothered me about Buffy and all that stuff is that they have no heartbeat, but they can still have sex and they still bleed. So I made it so that their heart beats. So when they do bleed, now it's all this clotted, disgusting mess. So more fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's funny because the idea of vampires in the real world, so many people in the paranormal field, like, people like scoff at it, and I'm like, have you not heard of the cases that are out there that people they can't explain?
Yep.
Like, have you not heard of the Highgate vampire, for God's sakes, in London? Like, there is
There's a
definitely,
couple of cases. Well,
if vampires don't exist, then they are clearly just a fictionalized version of some other creature that does exist, or they did.
every thought came from something real and maybe changed up, but somewhere there's something that caused that to happen. So
Well,
yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Let me ask this because this may lead to me getting one of my ideas into a comic book series. Do you have any kind of werewolf creatures yet?
We don't have werewolves until literally series 3. And we have very simple rules. One, if you change, the first person you go after is whoever you love the most. So that's the person that you kill first. Yeah, it's pretty
brutal.
Yeah. It's pretty brutal. And they turn into both a wolf, and when they start to be able to control it, if they get to that point, then they could be the stand-up version of the old 80s movies. But generally they're a real wolf. And then if they ever can control themselves, they can. But they don't have they don't have any control of the wolf form. It's always like this brutal, most, wolfish form. As a standing werewolf, they do. So the werewolf that we have, when we first get him, he has control over his powers. But later, when one is turned into one, it's a little bit more brutal because, goes after the love of his life and rips her apart. So good times.
See, I had this author on the show a while back who I don't know if you might have heard his books, but he writes a book series called Wolf. The
Just
first book's called Wolf, and then like there's a second, third, and fourth book already. I think he's working on a fifth. But basically, his werewolf mythology is that as like during the early cycles of the moon before it gets to a full moon, like it grows in size as it gets closer to the full moon. So like it starts off as like a poodle, and then,
cool.
and then like a and then
Really? I love it.
like a poodle, then like a border collie, then like a Great Dane, and finally it turns into a werewolf at the full moon.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, most of ours, they're born, like we have the species that is born a werewolf, and those can control it better. But we do have if they bite you, you will turn into. But it's funny because we had 2 instances where the werewolf bit a demon. So the demon doesn't turn into werewolf. But when the 2 demons were turned into humans, even though it's been like months or a year, they turn into a werewolf because they didn't know that it was like a latent thing inside them. So yeah, we have a lot of that fun stuff. I love coming up with lore. I love coming up with, all the fun little
Well,
rules.
the reason I brought it up was because you said series 3, so you guys already wrote this or no, or is it just ideas at this time? That's
So series, yeah, the werewolf has already been written into series 3. Now with series 3, it's 5 books. So series 1 is 5 books, and I think while we're releasing them as comic books, they're turning into more than 5 books because they're too long. So from when we wrote it, series 1 was 5 books, and book 1 is 7 issues, book 2 is 5 issues, book 3 is 10, but we're separating them, so it's got part 1, part 2. Book 4 is 8, and book 5 is 12 freaking issues, so that's fun. And then series 2 is 30 issues and 4 books. Series 3 is 5 books, 2 that are completed, 1 that's halfway done, and 2 that are started. And then series 4 is the All Out War, which is it's going to be Anubis and the Egyptian gods, and an army of mummies teaming up with the Greek Hades and Hecate and their zombies, and it's going to fight against Christianity and hell. So my characters are on the Anubis and the Hades and Hecate side. My characters are not happy that they're on the side of mummies and zombies because they've been killing them this whole time. But yes, there's a whole out war, and then there's an aftermath, but that has not been written yet. So series 4 hasn't been written yet. So, but it's in my head.
well, I will say, in the aftermath of that, have you thought about the idea of possibly bringing in extraterrestrials?
I have not, but I might now because the world is completely effed up. And the only way to fix it is that they have to close the rifts that were open from all the demons that came out. Um, but it's we haven't decided if we're actually going to fix it or if they're just going to close the rifts and they have to stay in this apocalyptic world. We haven't thought that through yet, but I do like the idea of aliens coming. Um,
I'm just saying because if you do go with that idea at all, make Bigfoots the aliens' protectors.
that's awesome.
Because
If I do
that's
that,
a
I'll put courtesy of your name in there.
oh, I would be so honored. And one and two, that actually is a real belief theory that
I like
because
it.
Bigfoot and UFO sightings are often in the same areas. And like all these supposed mountains that are UFO bases that people have seen UFOs come out the sides of, they've seen them come out of the top of, like volcanoes and whatnot. There's always Bigfoot sightings around the same time.
I
So
would
it's actually
absolutely love to have Bigfoot. Because I have not added, but I have zombie mermen, but I do not have Bigfoot. So yeah, we will have Bigfoot and now the aliens, and we're gonna have we'll maybe we'll name the Bigfoot Jeremy, which will be even funnier because it's such a normal name for a monster. It'll be like yeah, like calling him Bob. Um, but yeah,
I
I'm very excited to write the
if
aftermath story.
if you actually name the Bigfoot Jeremy, I so want a signed copy of that one. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
you got
that
it.
would be my. I would advertise the shit out of that on my show,
I
but
will absolutely
I'd be
name
like,
him.
I'm in something. I'm in something finally. I've hit stardom. It's finally happened. But
Nice.
I mean, I oof. Okay, and just adding a little press bit on there. If there becomes an animated series, I get to voice the Bigfoot.
You got it. Exclusive here.
I,
You heard it
I,
here.
I,
You will be voicing
I'm
Bigfoot.
just saying. I was saying. I used to do. I gotta get back on that, but I used to do ads for the show for different companies, and I used to have my mascot Squatchy, and I used to do all. I used to do all the. I used to do all the sounds and voices for Squatchy. So it's freaking. That'd be freaking awesome.
I love it. That is an excellent idea. So yes, I will have you do the voice of Jeremy.
Oh, that would be the greatest achievement of my life so far. Well,
Hopefully we
okay.
get that far. Um
Besides my kids, I
of,
should say
of
that for
course.
dexterity purposes. But yeah, you know.
Yeah, of course, of course. We're hoping to get that far. I'm definitely going to be releasing the first 44. I absolutely would love to release the series 2, which is 30, because so much amazing stuff happens, you know. And then series 3. Now, series 1 can end if I had to. And it's a happy somewhat ending if you don't read the epilogue when all hell goes screws everything up. Series 2 ends really well too, so I could end it there. But series 3, I mean, they go to a magic library where there's dragons. They get trapped in a dinosaur book that has all these dinosaurs in it, and then they get I think the second one they get trapped in the underworld. The third one they're in medieval era, which is so annoying to write, so annoying.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
um oh, it's drives me crazy. And book 4 they go to 4 or 5, might be 4, I lost track. They go to heaven and deal with all of the angels, which is not a good thing. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and I wish that the title "Never Ending Story" wasn't taken, because I would totally use that for my story, because it just hopefully it'll keep going.
the the sources exist for a reason, so there could be other words you could use for that. But
Yeah. So that was apparently an hour. That was fast.
it was, and I actually just came up with another idea, but I'm gonna wait till after we go off air to tell you it because I don't want to give away all your possible secrets. So, but I just had another idea that's freaking genius. But first things first, though, Wow. Well, first things first, I want to thank you for coming on because it's been a fun hour talking about comics and a comic which I'm gonna have to freaking get now because that sounds freaking amazing. And I know when you get I know when the dinosaur one actually comes out, my freaking son would love that. He would freaking die for that. So, um, where can people find these great comics? Where can they find you guys if they want to add their own 2 cents in, even though they won't have as much weight as me? But if you want to add your own 2 cents in, folks, go ahead. But where can people find you? Just promote yourself to the fullest.
So Carissa Grant on Facebook. We also have a Worthy Chaos Facebook group with about 700 members, and anyone that joins in can post their stuff. So if you're an artist, you can post your commissions. If you have Kickstarters, you can post it. If you have podcasts, you can post links. We also have a business page, but I'm going to be totally honest with you. There's no point. Just add me, follow me, and join the Facebook group, and it's a lot more fun. There is a website, but the best place and the best deals, and we have a lot of goodies, is Kickstarter. Just search Worthy Chaos, and we pop up. You can also go to theworthychaos.com. That's also the Kickstarter. But anyway, search Worthy Chaos with the only thing that pops up, and it's going to be live until now. For anyone that doesn't understand, because it's a little weird, usually indie comics are like once every 4 months. That is not how we roll here at Worthy Chaos. We are every other month. So when the Kickstarter ends, as soon as your payment goes through, the books are shipped, usually within 48 hours, tops 7 days. And you get your comic book, and then 3 weeks later, the next Kickstarter starts. So we're far ahead. You're gonna get your comic book. This isn't like a guess. You're not gonna be waiting years. Like I said, the first we're live for issue 10, but issue 15 is done. So 16 gets start drawing tomorrow. So you're gonna get your comic. You don't have to worry about it. So it's very addicting. Just just be warned, once you start reading it, it does get very addicting. We are obsessed with cliffhangers. Sorry, not sorry. Now we do have a catch-up tier for $25. You can get the PDFs for 1 through 10. We have a catch-up tier with the hardcover and the recent issues. I think it's $69 and you're caught up with all the issues, or $99 and you get 1 through 10 printed with all the PDFs as well. So there's lots of ways to catch up. And yeah, search Worthy Chaos Kickstarter. And me, I'm the type of person that would get kidnapped as a kid. I talk to anybody. So just add me on Facebook, Corissa Grant. And there I am.
I fucking love that right there. I fucking love that. Well, folks, you heard her. Go check it out. And I know I will be, but go check it out. It sounds like any other, it sounds like any great comic. It sounds enticing and like that you want to read more and more and more.
Yeah.
But unlike Marvel and DC, you don't gotta wait a freaking month. So, or well, I actually a month, yeah, because they only release one a month. They just have so many titles that you get plenty a week, but they only release once a month usually. So check it out, folks. I'm telling you, it sounds amazing, and you all know where you can find me besides reading these comic books in the next couple weeks, hopefully. But you could all find me. Check the outro. You'll find it all there. I don't like. I guess like a saying on the damn show. Shame if you don't know by now. If you've been listening for 200 episodes, Jesus. But until next time, folks. Thank you for watching, and thank you all those who watch in replay, and thank you to all the future listeners who will listen to this at some point in the future. I don't know when, but till then, I'll thank Carissa one more time for coming on, of course, and have a good night, everybody.
Thanks
Try not to dream of the cute zombies. You can find me on Facebook as Jeremy Bryant, or you can find me as Uncensored, Unapologetic, and Untamed UQ Podcast Collective Facebook group. You can find me on Twitter and the Instagram as @JuggaloBastard, or should I say X now. And you can find me on TikTok as @JuggaloBastard Podcast. You can also find me on YouTube as Paranormal the New Normal. And you can also find me streaming on YouTube as Blind Knowledge Network, because all knowledge is blind until they admit Bigfoot exists.